That was my rendition of Old Canada. What did you guys think?
Very good.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for battling the traffic. And if there's any complaints, where's Eric Duncan? It's his responsibility. Thank you all for coming. Second of three debates that both the Chamber of Commerce and the Dundas Federation of Agriculture have put on. So hopefully you people get as much out of the whole debate, the whole program, as we intended it to be. Just a couple housekeeping items. Last week, everybody should have received something like this. Okay? If you got it, it's going to be followed up with one of these. If you got this, you need to hang on to it. If you don't have it, you need to see Joanne McCaslin at the back, because you need to be on the voters list. If you haven't received this in the next couple days, you definitely need to see Joanne, okay? This is going to give you your ID to be able to go in and vote electronically. And again, you should hang on to that. My job is really simple tonight. Talk as little as possible, stop singing. Tonight our moderator is Nelson Zandbergen from Nation Valley News. And again, I'll turn everything over to Nelson. He's going to explain the protocol and how things will happen. So, Nelson, it's all yours.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey.
Good evening. So, some housekeeping items. First, everyone, if you could please turn off your cell phones or put them on vibrate or put them on airplane mode. That would be good, too. In case things get too heated in here tonight, please take note of the exits at the front and the side and the back. Hopefully, they'll be pretty civil and not that hot. So, the way it's going to work tonight, hope to get it rolling pretty quickly. First, though, I'm going to point out that we have 9 of 11 candidates here tonight. Nope, there's 11 candidates. There's going to be 11 names on the ballot, the virtual ballot on October the 22nd, and 9 of them are here tonight. Michael Trolley sends his regrets. He had some work to do tonight, so he would have otherwise been here. Tim Wasilko has previously said that he's no longer going to be competing or taking part, but he is going to be on the ballot. Just wanted to note that there are 11 candidates. Also tonight, for our candidates for trustee, Jeremy Armour, the incumbent Upper Canada District School Board trustee, he sends his regrets, as does his challenger Larry Berry. Karen McAllister of the separate English or English separate candidate, she couldn't make as well and sends her regret, but we do have Donna Nielsen here tonight. And like the other candidates, she will be making a 2-minute opening statement. The trustee candidates, however, that'll be the limitation of their participation tonight. If you want to speak to them, or Donna anyway will be here, and some of their tables are here with their information as well. So yeah, all candidates will be given 2 minutes to make an opening statement, just to introduce themselves and such. And the floor will then be open to a question and answer period. Questions will be directed to 2 candidates only from each questioner in a 30-second time frame. And then we have Vince Zandbelt here tonight operating our light system. And when everybody gets close or hits their time period, he will turn on the lights for the candidate and also a light for the questioner, so you know you got to wrap it up in 2 seconds, or else I will intervene. Candidates will be allowed 90 seconds to respond to a question, and if the question is not directed to a specific candidate, the moderator may allow other candidates to comment on that question. And then, so that'll wrap up at 8:30, and then each candidate will be given 1 minute to close. And I think that's all I need to say here right at the moment. So we'll get rolling here with our one candidate for trustee of the Catholic District School Board of Eastern Ontario, Donna Nielsen.
Thank you and good evening. I am Donna Nielsen and I am running for English Sept trustee. Thank you, North Dundas Chamber of Commerce, for hosting the event this evening. After recently retiring from a successful career in Catholic education, I welcome the opportunity to run as English Separate School Trustee for Dundas and Stormont. If elected, I would contribute meaningfully in the areas of faith development, curriculum, special education, First Nations, and mental health. It was inspiring working and collaborating with many professionals as teacher and later as principal. We were committed to nurturing the hearts, minds, bodies, and souls of all of our students. Planning in the best interest of our students and their families was paramount in the schools in which I served. As English Separate School Trustee, I'm committed to being a leader in Catholic education, promoting student achievement, well-being, and equity, promoting a positive school climate that is inclusive and accepting of all students, being visible and valuable in all of the schools in which I serve, and there are 4, creating collaborative relationships inside the school board and across the community, and promoting continuous improvement. I'm committed to my faith, my family, and to Catholic education. As English Separate School Trustee, I would reflect upon and draw upon my many experiences in Catholic education, experiences in my parish, and my own faith to make positive and informed contributions. I eagerly anticipate being awarded this opportunity, and I hope that you will vote for me. Thank you.
So we'll move directly now to the opening statements from our North Dundas candidates in the order in which they are seated here, which was previously selected on a random basis.
My name is Tony Fraser, and I want to be your next mayor. I love our township, and I'm very involved in it. Whether I'm attending one of the many fundraisers, milestone celebrations, helping organize the Ride for Dad event, working with the North Dundas Junior C Rockets, coaching or playing hockey, I participate in our community. I'm finishing my 2nd term as councillor for the Township of North Dundas. This is a role that I've enjoyed immensely, and I've learned a lot in the last 8 years. Almost 2 years ago, I put my plan into motion, keeping a keen eye on the role of the mayor, his interactions with staff and the public, in preparation for a job that I know I will be successful at. I'm extremely proud of all that we have achieved, and I will continue to foster relationships with progressive values and a progressive vision for the future. I'm running for mayor so that a generation from now, members of our community will be glad of the decisions we're going to make in the next 4 years. Having joined the fire department in 1995, becoming deputy chief in 2003, and recently in my role as acting chief, I've been placed in many situations that call upon my leadership abilities. Situations such as fireground operations, motor vehicle accidents, difficult internal decisions, or public safety emergencies. These situations have helped develop my leadership abilities and have contributed to my decision to run for mayor. Some of you have been led to believe that the ward system is still in place, but that is old politics. You deserve better. I am here to serve the whole township, every corner of it, to listen to all members of our great community, no matter where they are from. I would like to leave you with this thought. Decisions the new council will be making will have long-term consequences for the future of North Dundas. This election is a pivotal point for our community. So let's ensure we don't lose hold of the ground we have gained over the last 8 years. Let's continue moving forward. I'm asking for your vote this October. Thank you.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Jerry Boyce, and pleasantly surprised to see such a great crowd this evening when I saw the road construction out there tonight, and a combination of all the combines going today. I thought there might be a smaller crowd, but I'm glad to see such a big turnout. I want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank the North Dundas Chamber of Commerce and also the Dundas Federation of Agriculture for hosting this event tonight. I decided last year, after much serious thought, to seek the position of mayor. I have gained great experience at the township level and county level, working side by side with the mayor for the last 8 years. I have lived in North Dundas for over 50 years. My kids were raised here and I went to school here. Lauren and I have been volunteering in the community for close to 40 years. I grew up on a dairy farm and had a beef farm of my own from 1983 to 1997 while working at Alt Foods, which is now known as Parmalat. My time consisted of 6 years with the union and 15 years in management as a supervisor managing employees and achieving production targets. I also owned and operated a successful business for over 15 years. I feel I have the experience to lead the municipality. My goals are to work with the Parmalat leadership team together with our township staff to resolve the environmental issues. Agriculture is the main business that drives our economy in North Dundas. I want to improve customer service for the taxpayers and improve growth both in the residential and business sectors. Being in business myself has taught me to respect and treat the taxpayer as a paying customer. Everyone in the township has a right to be heard and we will listen to your concerns. We want to see North Dundas prosper and grow, and our motto will be good morning and how may we help you when you come into our office in the morning. Hopefully we can make things easier for ratepayers, especially for permits. Together let's make North Dundas a better place to live, work, visit, play and raise a family. Thank you very much.
Fixed, but now you're going to booby-trap the microphone? Is that what you're doing, Vince? My name's Elle Armstrong, and here's my best attempt at summarizing my time on council in 2 minutes. For the last 18 years, I've had the honor, privilege, and responsibility of serving you as a councillor. As a key member of 5 councils, I have been an integral part of every decision made, walking this township from amalgamation to the present day. In the last 2 terms, I helped to form new initiatives such as Meet Me on Main Street, the local business expo, our business breakfast, and the annual North Dundas Fire Department Awards Night, among others. In terms of service to our stakeholders, I was a vocal proponent of implementing extended office summer hours on Tuesdays until 7. I, along with my council colleagues, pushed to create an environment where our building permits are processed in half the average provincial times. We also now have CBO info nights, which are proving to be an excellent resource. I have earned my reputation with our residents over these 18 years as an honest, straightforward representative, one that can be trusted to ensure your tax dollars will be spent wisely. My goals for our municipal budgets have always been and will continue to be an aim to minimizing spending by targeting efficiencies and best practices and being a strong and determined voice for keeping tax increases to a minimum. With our next council, we are guaranteed to have at least 2 new members at our table. It is a good thing to welcome new blood and ideas, but it's also very important to have strong, experienced leadership to help guide that transition. I have the most experience and I'm ready to take the next step to represent us at the county council level as well as our local level. I understand the processes and the requirements of county council, and I will be able to hit the ground running on day 1. I am as eager and excited to embrace the deputy mayor position as I was on the very first day I became a councillor. I'm a strong supporter of our agricultural and small business community, and I understand their importance to the fabric of life in North Dundas. These are trying times for our economy, and as your deputy mayor, I will be an unwavering voice at the county council table on your behalf as I continue to be at the local level. I've also been fire commissioner for the last 15 years, where I've served as the bridge between council and the fire department. I have played a pivotal role in those budgets as well. I didn't do that. You were supposed to, okay. Vince likes to play these games, and he's winning. I look forward to discussing the ideas with you this evening on a variety of topics. 2 minutes doesn't give a lot of time, but I thank you for your support.
Good evening. My name is Brad Pinch. I'm running for deputy mayor, and I'm looking for your support. I've been in Winchester for the last 20 years. I've been an active member of the community. I've been a past member of the Lions Club. I've been a member of the Curling Club. I have volunteered continuously with the House of Lazarus and with the drives for United Way, the drives for March of Dimes, and other organizations within the community. I live in an area where Most of the people who are around me were old, and now they're being replaced by young families from Ottawa who may or may not participate within the community. And I think it's important that we find a way to get everybody to participate. However, we have some large issues in front of us that I think it's really important for us to take a look at. One of them is garbage. In terms of garbage, we have a real issue when it comes to our dump and the risk that it's taking with our waterfront and with our ability to have fresh, clean drinking water. The dump keeps getting bigger, and we're doing very few things about it to make it smaller. I think that by taking a look at a sustainable waste management program that includes incineration or waste to energy, and also compost community-wide would make a huge difference in doing that. I also believe that the way to connect our communities together and take care of our businesses that are here is to make sure that the businesses have the opportunity to have everybody in this room shop regardless of where they want within the community. Part of that is taking a look at rural transportation and putting a rural transportation system that goes literally from Kentville all the way through to the end, almost to from Chesterville almost all the way to Kentville and back and forth again about 4 times a day, and it's possible to do that. I work right now with about 100 communities from BC to Newfoundland that are all small municipalities like ours. Some of them as few as 450 and others that are greater. And my time is up, but I ask you to ask me some questions and I'll happily answer them or have a look at my poster. Thanks very much. Brad Pinch. Bye now.
Hi there. My name is Teresa Bergeron. I've been living in North Dundas since 1983, and I like the rural spirit here. I was born in Cornwall, and I still have family there, so I'm from Eastern Ontario. I've been farming since 1978. I run an international business which I started from scratch, and I survived raising 4 children through their teenage years. I attended French Catholic schools and a convent, believe it or not, until my university days. I have a BA from Queen's, a Master's of Science from Guelph. The problem-solving skills acquired during postgraduate training has taught me how to assess situations, problems, collect data and information, strip the fluff from the important points, and find reasonable solutions. 4 years ago, most of you know, I went door to door, I listened to what you had to say, and I haven't forgotten. I'm running for councillor. Council needs a good business head, a farmer, and a woman, and I'm all 3.
Good evening, residents of North Dundas, fellow candidates. My name is John Thompson. I've been a councillor in North Dundas since 2006, and I'm seeking re-election. As a lifelong resident of North Dundas, as a husband, a father, and a business owner, my concerns, my wishes, and my commitment all center around ensuring that the quality of life we enjoy continues. My 11 years on council has taught me to work effectively with council members, township staff, and you, the constituents of North Dundas, on key issues. The renovation and upgrading of existing township facilities and parklands, the repairing of road and sidewalk infrastructures, maintaining and expanding of the sewer and water upgrades for our growing population, and the revitalization of the downtown cores have all been important projects that council has successfully implemented. Having worked closely with the business community of North Dundas to help ensure economic growth, council saw the creation of the Office of Economic Development. We focused on providing financial assistance to local businesses for renovations through the Community Improvement Plan. We experienced a healthy working relationship with the North Dundas Chamber of Commerce and worked with local contractors and developers to help provide the necessary tools to help develop the township. A lot of work has been done, yet there's a lot more to do. What we have started must be completed. This will ensure that the progress will not be in the form of a Band-Aid solution to important issues affecting the township, but rather a permanent and practical, effective step into the future. Work will continue to ensure our infrastructure will meet the demands of a growing community. from roads to landfill requirements. A stronger working relationship with our agricultural community and the Dundas Federation of Agriculture is an important item on the next council's agenda, as is the creation of programs and facilities that will focus on the wellness of our residents regardless of age. I look forward to representing you again on North Dundas Council on October 22nd. Vote John Thompson. Thank you.
Is this left-handed? Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the voters in the Township of North Dundas, here tonight in the village of Chesterfield. My name is Gary Annable, and I'm seeking a council seat in the Township of North Dundas on October 22nd. I am now retired, but I owned and operated Annable's Jewelry in Winchester for 38 years. During that time, I've had many balance sheets and profit and loss statements prepared. I know how to read them, but more importantly, I've learned how to use the information that they provide. I know what a budget is, and I know how to stick to one. In today's economy, you have to plan and budget. Sometimes you have to say no, not yet, and yet other times you can say full speed ahead. My reason for seeking a council position at this time is not a complicated one. North Dundas is my home. I believe you not only look after the house you live in, but you have a responsibility to look after your community as well. We are blessed to be living in a community where agriculture is the backbone of our township, and I learned a long time ago in my own business that if the farming community does not do well, none of the other businesses in the township do well either. I am very aware, again, through my own store, all the areas of the township, and look forward to the opportunity of serving them all. Hopefully, the questions asked tonight will provide you with the information that you need to arrive at your decision as to who you would like to represent you at the council table for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you to the Dundas Federation of Agriculture and the Chamber of Commerce for putting on this event. My name is Tyler Hoy, and I'm running for one of the 3 positions of councillor for North Dundas. I've never been very good at public speaking, but I believe the municipality doesn't need a good public speaker or a professional politician. What this municipality needs is leadership and someone with a strong aptitude for business. That's what we need, and that's what I have to offer. I grew up in North Dundas and went to school here. My father and I farmed 2,000 acres, and my trucking company is based here, and my daughter attends school here. While I am proud of where I grew up and have the privilege of doing business today, I see that there are things that must change. We have too many roads and bridges in disrepair. We have serious drainage issues, both municipal and roadways, ditches, which is negatively affecting our agricultural community's ability to do business and for people to live comfortably in their homes without risk of flooding. We have serious infrastructure problems as well as regulatory and fiscal issues that are not attracting new business and therefore impacting our citizens' ability to find jobs locally and provide for their families. I'm not a politician. I'm an ordinary farmer that understands that there are things that must change for everyone in our community to be successful. Because I'm not a politician, I won't stand here and make promises except for one. If you elect me councillor on October 22nd, I will do my absolutely everything in my power to grow our economy and ensure a successful future for all members of this community. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening by taking time away from your families, your business, and your farms to be here tonight. My name is Frank Fata. I was born and raised in Ottawa, married the daughter of Wilfred and Ruby Crowder, originally farming in South Mountain. After the birth of our first child, Christopher, 32 years ago, Connie and I decided to live here in North Dundas, near her mother and other family members. My wife Connie's first job in North Dundas was as a VON, where she did home visits right here in Chesterville. Our son Christopher grew up in North Dundas, went to school, played hockey as a goalie, retired as a goalie, and started his first job at a young age here. Also socialized and began teaching right here in North Dundas. Initially, I worked at Barry's Pet Food in South Mountain, and then for Clarence TV in Winchester and the area. I would like to run for council since this community has been good to me and my family, and now it's time to give back. Life in North Dundas is great, however it does have its issues. Speeding, traffic, poor signage in the township. As for farming, I would like to propose to the new council to have a member to attend the monthly meetings of the Dundas Federation of Agriculture held right here in Chesterville. Similar to council's representation on the South Nation Conservation Authority. As well, I would like to promote agritourism, which is something new started in Europe. For waste, I'd like to have staff look into a study to initiate a program for seniors or other people that have issues bringing the waste and recycle to the curb to have a door pickup. I'm also proposing a feasibility study by staff to look into the extension of the life of our landfill and to be saving tax money by shipping our compostable materials to Ottawa. Looking forward to meeting you at my table just to the right here. Thank you very much.
So we'll move on to the question period. Remember, this is not an opportunity to debate the candidates. You ask your question in 30 seconds and the candidate will answer you in 90 seconds. There's no rebuttal. You're certainly welcome to ask more than one question, but you have to go to the end of the line and let other people ask their question. And we'll see how it goes. So the mic is open for questions.
Somebody's got to start. I thought I'd ask the mayoral candidates how they will make economic development more accountable. Oh, my name? Sorry.
Your name?
Great. My name is Burkett Foster. I've been hanging around here since 1986. But I'm not running, so I don't have to say anything other than that. So the question I have is how are you going to make economic development measurable and accountable in North Dundas so that we can actually see small and medium business, farming opportunities, and industry recruited into this area, and how are you going to recruit and retain the rest of them?
Burkett, do you have two particular candidates you want to ask that question to?
I thought the mayoral candidates would be appropriate since they will have to pass it down.
Thank you, Burkett. Thank you, Burkett. Economic development in North Dundas. It was in our first term of council, I believe, that we put forward the idea that we need to have an economic development officer and that we have an economic development and communications officer. So saying that, I think we are still in the initial stages of having our economic development officer become better aware of the needs of the community, orienting himself to programs and support that is available to communities of our size. We're working with the beautification program, the CIP program, but the next step, and it's been in the back of my mind for a while, the next step is to spread our wings, be more proactive, searching out opportunities for businesses to grow, seeking out businesses that need places to grow, to settle, and settle in North Dundas would be the goal. We currently don't have a measuring stick for things that you're speaking of, but this is a tool that we'll have to use as we develop and mature with our economic development program, and I'm looking forward to that happening in my next term. Thank you very much.
I want to echo what Councilor Fraser said about the economic development officer. When we hired one in the 2 terms ago, people said, "What do you need one of those for? We never had one before. What do you need one now?" Like, that's one of the best things we ever did, the best money we spent. And we've had several economic development officers because they worked for a while, and then other municipalities seem to see they're doing a good job, and then they offer them more money, and away they go. So anyway, we've got a real good one now. We've had some good ones, and we have a good one now. And I've talked to people, as I talk to businesses, they like to see more of them. They want to talk to them more. They know them, and they've talked to them on the phone, but they'd like to see them more. So I think we have, using the CIP program is going to help a lot too, help the businesses. And if we need more business, we need more people. We have to have more growth in North Dundas. If we have more people, we'll have more businesses. So the businesses aren't going to come until the people are here. And people are moving into the area, but we can do better. We can bring in more people. And that's, the businesses aren't going to come until the people are here. So we had good growth this year. We had 11 new businesses started up in North Dundas. So we're very happy about that. So we want to just keep working with the business, working with our economic development officer, and that's what he's there to do, is be communicate from them to us.
Jackie Pemberton, I'm OFA Regional Director for Zone 11, covering Dundas, Grenville, Leeds, Frontenac. My question will be to Brad Pinch, Deputy Mayor candidate, and Teresa Bergeron, Councillor. So farming and food production is very important within our region, and we have to work within the municipal bylaws, but want you to be aware of the Farming and Food Protection Act. Do you support pre-consultation with our local Federation of Agriculture and Agricultural Advisory Committee to ensure municipal bylaws do and do not unduly restrict normal farm practices? And how will you contribute to learn from the Agricultural Advisory Committee?
That's a really good question, Jackie. Thank you very much for that. I think that one of the things that we can do far better in our community is actually listen to our farming community. And part of that is actually allowing them to be a single voice. That is, put a communication together, bring it to council, and listen to what it is that they have to say. And more than that, I think making a decision without having those individuals who are going to be directly affected, part of that, I think that would be to our detriment. Right now, we haven't taken the time to look at how well we can get this information back and utilize it. In fact, we sort of half listen, and I think we really need to spend more time listening to what's happening. In terms of how are we going to institute that and pull it forward, I think the easiest way to do that is to make sure that we have taken the opportunities that we have to find those movers and shakers, the people in each one, not just the ones from the DFA, but also the ones from all the other organizations that are part of the farming community, and get them all at one table. Have them come to us with real understanding of what it is that they want for policy and how we can manage that, and listen to them intently, and don't just plow through it and decide that maybe that's not the way to go. Our farmers all want the same thing we want. They want good land. They want to be able to prosper at what they want to do. They want to be able to manage themselves, and they want to make sure that we all prosper from the work they do. I think we can do that by listening better and by bringing them together. Thanks, Jackie.
Hi, Jackie. I knew you'd be asking me a question at some point. I think that when issues come up before council that affect the farming community and where bylaws need to be thought about or whatever, that the Dundas Federation of Agriculture should be made aware of those before anything happens at council, so that they can review whatever the situation is. Now, the farming community around here, as I said last week, is very fortunate. We have mostly here cash croppers. There's beautiful land here. A big dairy industry. We have Parmalat that supports the dairy here. And for me, one of the main issues with farming today is the issue of the minimum distance rules that have to do with if someone is applying for a lot in the middle of farm country, that does make an issue for any farm that wants to expand, because they may not be allowed to expand because there's a residential home within so many feet. And these are rules that the province has set forth a few years ago, and that is an issue with farming. I don't know. Otherwise, like I said, if anything should come across when we get our packages that have to deal with farming, we should notify you of what it is. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, my question is going to be for the deputy mayor candidates. And I want...
What's your name, sir?
Oh, I'm Bill Smurl in Moorwood area. Thank you very much for that. And so, safety and job security and quality of life is really important. At the last debate in South Mountain, there were comments made about what needed to be improved in Parmalat and the Winchester area. This is an important business for our area, so I'm really interested in hearing the comments that those people can make as to how it will improve, how they will help it improve.
Do you have a couple?
I have mentioned the deputy mayor candidates, thank you. Even though I forgot my name.
I don't want to keep going first, but I don't think it's a bad thing. Thank you very much for the question. I really appreciate that. So I actually live within feet of Parmalat, and I'm affected every day by the changes. In June of this year, Parmalat expanded their plant with around $15 million upgrade to the plant to bring every butter plant that they have in southern Ontario and in southern Quebec to Winchester. It was a huge investment that they put in place. When they put that investment in place, they never thought about the waste. They didn't think about expanding the lagoon until after the fact. And that's a real problem for us because it has been really bad. And I mean really bad. Bad enough that businesses have a hard time moving in. People are worried about their health. They're worried about, in fact, their being able to enjoy their property. I know that we have a huge problem with that. I think that Parmalat is working towards something. The problem is that there are no deadlines. There's nothing really holding them tight to make things happen. And what we need to do is we need to hold Parmalat accountable. And part of that is being able to ensure that we are meeting constantly with Parmalat, that we get a date from them when this is going to be fixed. And if it's not, if they do not take care of this problem when they're supposed to, then we need to start putting something in place like fines and those type of things until they get it right. They are not leaving this community. They are a $16 billion business run out of Italy. They are not leaving here, never. So what we need to do now is make sure they're good neighbors to us and that they're taking care of us. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the question, Bill. With all due respect, Brad makes a lot of assumptions. In my time, he's come to one council meeting. It was the last one. He's been actually, that's wrong, he was at one earlier, many years ago, to complain about not having a Tim Hortons here, not wanting a Tim Hortons here. I took the opportunity this week, on Friday actually, and I spoke to the plant operator, the chief operator, and that is Mr. Bruce Shirtliff. He is being held accountable, and the other meeting that Brad missed was at the Winchester Arena when Parmalat had their meeting. They have taken accountability. They have been held accountable by not only our municipal council, but they're being held accountable by the MOE, the Ministry of the Environment. They had their inspectors there last week, checking out the science that my opponent has said doesn't work. They have passed the science. They believe that it's perfectly fine. They tested it. They smelled it. They used their bare hands on what was left. The DAF system is working. Parmalat is an important cog to this community. And we all know when people swore that Nestle's would never leave, and we've all felt that. I see Howard Smith right there, and he and I were together the day that they walked in. After putting $70 million into their building, they left within 2 months. They've never threatened, Parmalat has never threatened that they will leave, and they're not accepting that they're going to leave. But they are, I've never wanted to be aggressive with any one of our stakeholders, be it one single resident or our largest private employer. And so I continue to work with them, and I think that any council would have to work with them, and we know that they are doing their best, and they will continue to do their best.
My name is Ed DeSasso. I'm a resident of North Dundas since 1973, and in all that time I've never seen such a rich and varied array of talent. I thank you all for bringing your names forward. Since this is Chesterville, it's a good place to ask my question about marijuana. seriously, in a month it's going to be legal in this country. The current plans are by April 1st, retail outlets can be opened. And one of the first tasks of council will be to decide whether we opt in or opt out. My question is for the two mayoralty candidates, and it is, do you have a position? And how do you plan to consult with the community on which way to go? Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Ed. When the plant here gets going, they're not growing marijuana yet, I'm told, but they will be, and they'll be looking for an outlet. They'll want to have an outlet. I think we should go to the community. Well, like you said it yourself, the first job of the new council is to decide whether we opt in or opt out. And I said at the meeting last week that I like the position that the town of Perth took, that they opt out for the first year and get more information, because there's too many unknowns. We're going to get $10,000 from the federal government that we can use towards placing it and enforcing it. We don't know who's going to do it, whether our bylaw staff's going to do it. We haven't decided that yet. That's up to the new council. That's all we know about it yet. So I think we should opt out the first year. That's just my opinion. And go to the community, see what they want to do, see what their feelings are, whether it's a mail out or what we do. But I think we should hear from the community and see where they stand on it. It's coming, so we got to get ready for it.
I've lost where you've sat. Thank you. Thanks for the question. The retail outlet for marijuana will be April 2019. I believe I'm correct. Yes? That's when it's legislated to be put forward. In October 2017, October 17, 2018, you'll be able to order online through the Ontario Cannabis Store, I believe it is, the OCS. As to your question, Mr. Zazio, about the bylaw, and not the bylaw, but opening up a retail store, and there's been lots of comments, not just from my council colleague, about speaking to the public and finding out what the public feels. I'm not sure how you would hold a referendum on such an item, but I do believe, and I commented on this last week, I've been a supporter of businesses, I've been a supporter of entrepreneurs, I've been a supporter of people that have hopes, dreams, and ideas and want to control the future, that want to be business people and believe they will be able to function in a marketplace. Saying that, the marketplace will dictate if a retail outlet in North Dundas is going to be viable. I don't think we need to decide whether or not we want to decide if we like that type of store in our neighborhood. I believe the marketplace will be that decider. Much the same way as the marketplace decides whether or not 6 or 7 pizza outlets are necessary in North Dundas, along that line. So I'm a firm believer in supporting business and in supporting their efforts. It will be legal, it's going to be legislated to be legal on October 17th. It's going to be a legal enterprise, and I don't think we should be saying no. We should let the marketplace decide yes or no.
Bill Swerl, Orwood. I'm doing better now, Mr. Chair. I would like to direct this question to the two mayoral candidates. One of you will be representing us in North Dundas and in SD&G Counties Council. In the next 90 seconds, would you summarize the skills and the knowledge that will help you represent us really well?
Thank you, Mr. Smurl. Some of the skills and knowledge I believe would be necessary to work with Counties Council and to be an active member on Counties Council is ability to listen, learn, understand, take information from other stakeholders, take information from other politicians, if you will, that sit at the council table. There are 12 members of Counties Council, 6 from each municipality. The ability to take information that's available and distill it to a form that will work in North Dundas is important. I think that's a skill that's necessary. But what is also necessary is to understand the needs of the people of North Dundas and to be able to argue reasonably in efforts to convince others that our needs are very, very important, just as important as anyone else's. But being from North Dundas, I believe my need and our needs are much more important than other people, selfishly. Saying that, those are the skills, the ability to listen, the ability to reasonably argue, and to understand the information being presented to you are the important skills that are necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Something I bring to the table, I think, at the county council level is I know the area very well. I've been in business all over the 3 United Counties. I know the areas, I know the roads, I know the bridges. Well, I also have 8 years' experience on county council, which has helped a lot too. But we do have to listen, we do have to process what they're saying to us, and I don't think we just all focuses around North Dundas either. It's just like North Dundas. We have to look at the whole area of North Dundas, and the counties have to look at all 3 United Counties. And we have to help everybody. We can't get everything in North Dundas. We have to spread our resources and do so much in each one, and we all have to work together collaboratively. And as far as I'm concerned, we have got along quite well in the last 8 years with the other county council members. There are going to be 7 new members there this year, so there's maybe going to be some learning curves this year in county council, but we have to look at the whole county too. It's not just, and I think we've done very well in the last 8 years in North Dundas. There's an example right up in front of this venue right here. It happened right now. It came a long time coming. We're getting a new street and sidewalks, and a lot of money's been spent in North Dundas this year on roads. Holmes Road, Highway 31, just to name a few. Thank you very much.
Hello, Robin Dumas. I've noticed across the landscape there's been wind turbines appearing over the past little while, solar arrays, water conservation is obviously very big for an agricultural community. I guess I'll ask the deputy mayoral candidates, what are your stances on energy conservation and things of this nature with our community?
Well, thank you for the question. It's a little bit of there's a little bit of an interesting twist to it now that the Green Energy Act has been repealed. There are certainly questions out there, and I don't think that they've come completely down to how the rubber's going to hit the road. We know that there's contracts out there. North Dundas made our stance very clear that we were not supporting or standing in the way of, but we were on that great 16-point list that was handed. We didn't subscribe with our 2 points. We decided that we would let our residents decide whether or not they wanted to have the contracts and whether they wanted to have them constructed. As far as any other green energy, we're certainly in support of it. I certainly stand in support of it. If it comes in a much more constructive manner and it rolled out in a more where we get to have our self-determination as opposed to the way the Green Energy Act was enacted in all of us. So yes, I absolutely do support alternative energy matters, but it's got to be well thought out, and it's got to be more well thought out and more of a say for what's going to happen in the backyards of North Dundas than the Green Energy Act held.
You know, the Green Energy Act isn't the only place where we can be taking a look at conservation. In fact, all of us can be taking a look at water usage. We can all be taking a look at how in fact, we're utilizing our land. I don't know if anybody knows here or not, but right in the village of Chesterville, there is a diamond in the rough that's sitting here. We actually have a company here that builds a retrofit for a Zamboni. Now that doesn't sound like very much until you understand that the average Zamboni in a season goes through 600,000 liters of water and uses the amount of energy equivalent to 72 cars in order to heat that water in between periods. That's a huge amount of energy. The way that the company here has been working, and has been working really well, and has been trying to approach its council without any luck, is to have us take that in. And what they do is they actually melt the water that comes off, and they put it back down on the ice. There's no electricity being used during that. They're actually using the machine to do all of this. The retrofit can happen everywhere. And in fact, Russell is buying the first one, not us, and they're right here. If we don't keep our eyes open as a community and look for places where we can conserve and where we can be the best stewards of our water, best stewards of our energy, best stewards of our land, then we will all fail. And it's important that we do that as a community, with or without any act from the province. Thank you.
I don't trip over myself. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jerry Johnson. I've lived in Chesterfield for 28 years now. And my question is directed at the mayoral candidates, it's tough to say, and in regard to the fire department. And we know what a good job those guys have done. And my question relates to the position of you guys as far as a unionized professional fire department as opposed to the existing methodology that we currently use. Thank you.
I'll answer while Tony thinks about this one. I wasn't expecting, as far as a professional fire department, I was on the fire department in South Mountain for 30 years. I was a deputy chief for 15 years as a volunteer. And I don't think we're ready for a professional fire department yet. We've got over 100 firefighters in 4 stations that are doing a fantastic job. And I don't think we're anywhere near ready for a professional fire department. And if you think the taxes are high, I don't think what would happen if we had to pay for 25 or 30 full-time firefighters at over $100,000 apiece. We're not ready for that yet. So I think our volunteers are doing a fantastic job, and will be in the near future for I don't know how long, but hopefully for quite a few years yet. We're not there yet.
Jerry, to your comment or to your question about the unionized and professional, I wear my heart on my sleeve for the fire department. I'm sure you know that. I'm sure lots of people in this building, in this room, know that. My service in the fire department, there's been a marked change in the way we train. There's been a marked change in the way we, I don't want to say conduct ourselves, because that puts us in a bad light from years ago. But the way things are, the expectations from be it the OFM and their accreditation program, or the NFPA and the training courses they offer, and the levels that must be achieved if you want to continue. Even to be a volunteer firefighter, we have to achieve certain levels of training. And those levels of training may not be as intense and involved as a professional firefighter, but firefighters and volunteer firefighters in communities such as ours need to be able to do all of the things that a unionized person has to do. The volunteers that we have in North Dundas, across SDNG or across Ontario, are all committed volunteers that want to support their community and are not looking at it as a job, but as a passion to serve all members in our community. Our training is excellent. The expectations are very high. We have to achieve those. And to keep this in mind, if we don't achieve a certain level of training, we're not able to do interior attacks. We're strictly exterior attacks, which really isn't firefighting, which really isn't a service to our community. So, saying all that, we train as hard and our expectations are as high as those in the professional ranks.
Mr. Chair, Bill Smurl, and this question is for 2 new councillor candidates, Annabelle and Hoy. Both of you commented on the importance of agriculture, and of course, I think everyone here is a believer in that. But as new representatives on council, how will you represent the agricultural community and also work with your council peers to bring forward and present and raise the level of understanding?
I was invited a couple of weeks ago to DFA meeting, and I found it quite interesting. I'm not going to stand here and pretend to know all about corn heat units, and I probably couldn't turn a tractor in a 10-acre field. But I would like the opportunity to keep attending the DFA meetings. I've had a few conversations with Jackie Pemberton, and I would still like to meet with Jackie for a couple of hours and ask a whole bunch of questions. I think there should be some sort of panel or group that could regularly attend council meetings and make presentations as to their wants and needs. Thank you.
Well, I am a director on the Dundas Souls and Crops. We have many issues that we try to work forward with and improve on all the time, and some of our members are also members of the Dundas Federation of Agriculture, and we work closely together with each other, and we'll continue to work closely and with the whole community of agriculture, and hopefully keep council on board with everything we like to do, and move forward as best as possible with the least amount of impact on the taxpayer to make all things better.
Hello, my name is Brenda Norman, and I'm from the neighboring township, North Stormont. And I have been working in North Dundas for the last 2.5 years to work on community initiatives that include people in the community stepping up and taking part in our activities. So I'm from Cause Roots Community Empowerment Project, a not-for-profit organization that brings the Eastern Ontario Garlic Festival to the region. Also, this year, we did Seize the Day camp at March break, and we used the township's facilities, which were fabulous. This summer, we were offered an opportunity to work with the Masons Hall, Henderson Hall, and St. Paul's Church, of which we took the offer up. And we held Pardon?
Ask the question.
Okay, we held a day camp and hired 5 North Dundas youth and had programs for children with special needs. My question is, for all the councillors who might be able to answer this or want to, whatever, I don't know the format, what are you going to do when you are elected to help newcomers such as myself, new organizations that might want to offer something in a community that's in need, who've surveyed the community, to feel safe and sound and to offer the programs that they have to offer while empowering people in your very community to be part of them? So straight up, the question is, what are you going to do as the community expands and people such as myself move into the area and can be included in new initiatives?
Okay, so we'll have John Thompson and Frank Fata answer the question.
Thanks for the question, Brenda. With any new groups coming into the municipality, if they're wanting to start up initiatives, there's through our rec department on the township website, we promote, we'll work with the groups for use of the facilities. And as I like, there's promotion through the resource guide for advertising through the township website to get the word out. And promotional information can be left at the municipality or at municipal facilities.
First of all, for any new organizations approaching council, if there's a need, that they come to council meeting, do a presentation, and it's our responsibility to spend your tax money very wisely. So if there is a need in the community, there is resources with the rec department, different departments in the township. But again, if there is a need and a desire for it, and a presentation is presented to council, I would support something if there is a need. But again, in the confines of a budget, you don't want to spend money foolishly. But if there is a need, then yes, I would be in favor of that. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Ventrella, and my question is for the two mayor candidates. We know what happened in Ottawa with the tornado, and I'm wondering what kind of plan would you think would be a good local plan if something like a tornado or an earthquake happened around here, for those maybe living in apartments who can't get to a basement or other situations.
Thank you, Sabrina. What we have in place right now, currently, we have an emergency measures organization committee, emergency measures management committee. Members of council sit on that, members from the public sit on that, members from the fire service, police, paramedics, ham radio. I didn't want to miss anyone, but I'm sure I'm going to miss someone on that long list of people that volunteer their time for emergency plans and emergency training. I've been involved, I've been lucky enough to be involved in that committee. What we do is, it's a network. We prepare ourselves, we become familiar with the resources available in SDNG, and also we have support from the province of Ontario. We take that information and we run scenarios, be it a derailment, a storm, a flood, or a chemical spill on a roadway. And we talk about such things that you referred to. Where will people be evacuated? Who will be called into play to initiate those evacuation processes, where people will congregate, and how we will clothe, feed, and provide bedding or a place to sleep. We work with the Red Cross, we work with other organizations along that line, and we do make plans, so we are prepared. And this all stemmed from the ice storm. That brought to our attention that more planning is needed, and so we actively pursue that through training.
Thanks, Sabrina. I can't add much more than what Councillor Fraser just said. I'm also part of that committee. We meet at least twice a year, and there must be 25 people around the table from the EMS in Cornwall, and the East Ontario Health Unit are there, and the fire department's represented, and Care For, and everybody. There's one or two from each group there, and then once a year we'll have a tabletop exercise, and we'll do a scenario to say this is the disaster that happened, how will we react to it? So we have everything documented, where all our emergency facilities are, who's got all the generators, and where our evacuation places are going to be, like in the Winchester Arena and the Chesterfield Arena. We have that all ready to go. And at Hearts, all you got to do is just, as soon as it's declared an emergency, everything kicked into gear automatically. So we are prepared. Hopefully we never have to use it. We came close in the ice storm, but we weren't even prepared at the time, but things did go very well for not being prepared. But we are prepared now. Thanks for the question.
Burkett Foster. I thought maybe I would add one comment on that and then ask my question. The comment is, have you ever run a workshop on grab-and-go bags? That's the stuff that you need when something happens. If you haven't, could you guys add that to your list, please? And make sure that it happens, because that's something that's been very vital to people who have been in British Columbia in the fires. Okay, now my question. So in my full-time job, I run a software company. My part-time job is I'm chairman of Storm Internet Services and half owner. We brought a lot of internet to this area and did some innovative projects here and there with smart farms and things like that. My question is, how are you going to find more businesses, and this is for the deputy mayoral candidates, how are you going to find more businesses to come here, and maybe they don't have the same profile in ag, maybe they have instead a high-tech profile which has a narrower footprint than other people.
Burkett, thank you for the question. I too am in software. In fact, I've been called a serial entrepreneur. That's part of what I do. Is I've built a number of businesses and brought them forward. And the thing that drives business into communities are activities that center around the ability to be able to utilize what it is that they need. So in Burkett's case, where we're talking about software companies, one of the things, of course, that's happening in 2009 is, actually I think it's not happening until 2020, not 2019, is the spectrum that's actually coming up for sale when it comes to 5G, which is going to be extremely important for this area. What that actually means, getting away from all the technical stuff, is the ability, in fact, for everybody in this room to have 50 down and 20 up, which is super fast, the kind of stuff they have in Ottawa. It would help every farmer and every person in here, but it would also help software companies in terms of being able to have those things that they need in order to actively work within the community. I think internet is core, and in fact, even the CRTC has said that the minimum requirement should be 25 down and 5 up, and we're not close to that within our community. I know Burkett's been working really hard to get that together, but one of the things we need to do is support companies like his when they're actually looking for spectrum, and make sure that they are actually able to get some instead of just the big guys. So we're talking about Bell and TELUS and Rogers taking it all and not giving it to anybody else. So I think as a small community, we can still be a voice. And we can be a voice at CRTC, we can be a voice in other places in order to drive that and bring companies here and make sure that they stay here. Thanks, Burkett, for the question.
Well, Burkett, you've been asking that question for a long time. We've slowly gotten you a little bit happier, and you've done a phenomenal job. There's no question. I mean, you know the answer yourself. Internet and internet speed is what we need. It's what we're always going to need. Since you first came to the council table, we have done a yeoman's job, and a lot of it with your leadership, and you know that as well. There's no shame in thanking you for that. But the difference that's always going to be, once we get that internet speed, and we are working towards it, and we have never stood in your way, and we've never stood in anybody else's way, and we are trying to, along with the rest of the technology, catching up to what all of the outlying areas have the same problem. North Dundas is right there. We will be there as the technology gets developed. We've opened doors for all technology advances. But the difference that's always going to make it for all of these places, or all of these people, is the quality of life that we have in North Dundas. They are like doctors, they are turnkey operations. They're not looking for big apartment buildings or big office buildings. They're looking for a quality of life for their technological commuters. We have that. We will continue to make sure that we have that. And that is always going to be our difference. Thank you.
Jackie Pemberton, I'll let the moderator decide on who will answer this question. So being on municipal council requires that you understand the roles and responsibilities of this municipality's for agricultural land drainage under the Drainage Act and the Tiled Drainage Act. So how will you work on behalf of ACT to ensure that drainage is maintained and timely cleanouts and communication with the landowners?
We'll have Teresa Bergeron and Gary Hannibal.
Okay. If farmers think that there's a problem with their drainage, there is a drainage engineer with the township that you can contact. If someone has done something downstream and blocked the creek or the drainage, you just call the township, they go check it right away, see what goes on, and they clear it. If you think that there's a problem with draining your own property, there is someone at township that deals with that.
Thank you, Jackie. I believe there probably should be a regular maintenance program where somebody actually has a job to put on a pair of rubber boots and go out and take a look. And then report back to council, somebody who will be a liaison between the farmer and the council.
Hello, my name is Gabrielle Thomas. I have lived in Chesterville since 1986. Just in the last couple of weeks in the media, we have heard that in North Dundas there's a loss of forest cover. And just as Elle Armstrong was saying, this township, what we want is quality of life. So my question is to the mayoral candidates, and it's knowing on one hand that agriculture is very important, but also on the other hand that forest cover helps our general quality of life. Do you have any suggestions of how to address this issue?
Thank you, Gabrielle. Actually, we have a committee set up. They're working on forest cover right now with South Nation Conservation Authority. Have been working on this issue for some time, and they have a concern about it also, as do the Dundas Federation of Agriculture, and they're working together to come up with a solution, and they're quite proactive. And it's actually, there was a meeting about it about 3 weeks ago, or 2 weeks ago here in Chesterfield, and I wasn't able to attend because we were having a council meeting that night, but it is being talked about and it is being worked on as we speak. There's a lot of concern about it.
Ms. Thomas, some of the things that go on with ensuring proper forest cover is maintained, and I know we're deficient, but I believe we're deficient in what is recommended by the provincial government. Bearing that in mind, though, this is an agricultural community. Agriculture, the farmers, if you will, are very aware of the needs of the community in that respect, but we also have to be aware of the needs of continuous operation, growth, expansion of their business. We are supportive of business on our council. We are supportive of the ag community on our council. But we are also supportive of forest cover, and we work in partnership with South Nation. South Nation actually does the bulk of the work in educating all of us on the needs of forest cover, and they do a fine job, and it is a difficult job to balance the needs of our agricultural community and the needs of others not intimately involved in the agricultural community. It is a fine line to walk, but it is from the efforts of South Nation, from the DFA, the OFA, working together to find solutions that will somewhat satisfy our needs and our ecological needs. And it's those efforts in conjunction with the communication through council that are going to best manage our needs in North Dundas.
My name is Nick Zriniak, and I have, I guess I should first recognize the people sitting in front of us here, and thank you for all taking the time and the dedication to run for office. I have a simple question. Actually, it's for all the candidates, Mr. Moderator. The question is very simple. Who has read and understands the Municipal Act, the Ontario Building Code, the Fire Code, the Ontario Fire Code? I'm sure if you all are running, those are part of the meet. There are other codes involved as well. Who has read, who sits there and has read and understands the codes applied?
We'll make a bit of an exception. Just have a show of hands here who has read the Municipal Act.
And also I would add the building code and the fire code, which are also all very important in the work that they will be looking at.
Do you want to know if we understand it? Because I'll go halfway. I've read them, but I don't pretend to understand the Building Act.
I haven't even read the whole Bible yet.
Hi, Brenda Norman again from North Stormont. So my question is related to the social services that Cornwall makes decisions on for all of the townships throughout the counties, from senior to childcare to housing. And so I took it upon myself a year and a half ago to go through the minutes in Cornwall to see what questions were asked related to daycare motions being moved through, and I met with councillors, of which in the minutes nobody asked this question, and councillors testified that they did not to me. With that, the population of families with children, with preschool-age children, went from 7% to 3.5, I believe, the year prior to last year in North Dundas. So the question is, what are you going to do? It's to the deputy mayor candidates and to the mayor candidates, since you will sit on the big county in the chambers, I'm not sure what it's called, excuse me, to ensure that the social needs where Cornwall makes the decisions are being reflective of what the community wants. And I'll just also let you know that I surveyed members of this community, over 190 families around whom they care at Dairy Fest last year. So I have some stats on what families want. So the question is, how will you ensure that Cornwall makes decisions for all social services, including daycare, on North Dundas' behalf and in their best interest?
Deputy mayoral candidates.
Thank you, Brenda. I think I remember the question. There is no question that we, at least in my mind, are underserviced with our social services. I wouldn't go as far as to say that the good people that have served on Cornwall committees that run our social services have neglected our area, but I don't think that they've served us in the manner that we should have been served. As far as when you ask the question of how are you going to ensure that something happens, if I stand up here and give you an answer that's definitive saying I will ensure it by doing this, I'm most likely not telling you the truth, because you know better than most here that you need 50% plus one to agree with you. So there's not one person that could stand up here and tell you that they're going to guarantee that we will get that sort of action. What I will guarantee you is at the county level, I will be a strong and continuous voice for better social servicing. I will be always canvassing every other member of the, including the one that comes from North Dundas with me, all of county council, and I will be driving them insane to try and get North Dundas being better serviced for social services.
You know, working with the SDNG is a long road to hoe, and I absolutely feel your pain. I spent 4 years with the Children's Aid Society Ottawa Carleton, so I absolutely understand how people need to be serviced. And working the time that I've spent with the House of Lazarus and with Helping Hands and the other community efforts that are out there, I can tell you that one of the things that we should be doing as a community is supporting those local communities that we have in order to draw those services for ourselves. It's true that it's going to be a long time to get that coming in from the SDNG, and Al's completely right. It's 50% plus one, and the chances of that are not particularly great. However, if we invest our time and our energy and find the right individuals who are willing to work with us, communities like, organizations like House of Lazarus, Helping Hands, even Naomi House, which has been fantastic for battered wives and whatnot. The truth is, we have the resources here to do that. What we need is a council that's willing to actually put their money where their mouth is and to take a look at these things as being a priority, because I truly believe that our children and ensuring that our families grow up well in this community are in fact what we're made of and what we're all about. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for their expressed interest in supporting the agricultural community. My questions for the mayoral candidates.
Excuse me, ma'am, if you just mentioned your name.
I'm sorry. Judy Tacia from Winchester. As you know, farmland values have increased, ballooned in the last 5 to 10 years. Our tax rates have followed suit according to impact. To the mayoral candidates, would you support reduction of the tax ratio to represent a more equitable tax rate for the farm community?
Thank you, Judy. I would certainly like to be involved in those discussions. When I've traveled the roads, I've talked to a lot of farmers, and they've told me that the tax rate is just killing them. The taxes they're paying right now on their farmland is higher now than it's ever been, and also the price of their milk. They're getting less for the milk now. They're allowed to milk more cows, but they're getting paid less for their milk. So they're getting a double whammy there, and I know they're suffering. The machinery costs keep going up, the input costs are going up, the seed's going up, the fertilizer's going up. Yes, I would be very receptive to being part of that discussion, and I think if we can do something more for the agriculture community, I think we should. Thank you.
Ms. Tensier, I think we'd all like to see a reduction in our tax rates, but that is also a factor of our assessments. As our farm property values go up, the level of your taxes will also raise, much the same as my house. I would imagine that holds true. To say definitively that I would be in support of a reduction in tax rates would be very difficult in light of the need of more revenue to keep up the roads that we all desire to have better roads, to keep the services, much as the comments or the earlier questions we had about social services. All the taxes collected go towards supporting social services, healthcare, emergency services, roads, recreation, and items such as that. It's very difficult to offer a tax rate reduction to any part of our society and not have us suffer in some other way. Someone will end up carrying the burden, and there will be also a hue and cry that their rates have gone up. So I'm sorry, I don't think I could definitively say, yes, I could support a tax rate reduction.
Mr. Chair, I'd almost like to give this question to the four persons in the front row, but I'll limit it to the two deputy mayor candidates. Taxes, services, old programs, new programs are all really important. And I really enjoy a night like tonight because I hear the comments of the ideas you have and how you'll move them forward. But with the taxes and the three things I've mentioned, how will you decide what are our priorities and how will you work with council to develop those priorities, deputy mayor candidates?
I got a coin. I'll wait till Brad figures out what his last answer was. Bill, the question that you ask, as you well know, having sat in the chair that you sat at our council table, is an amalgam of all three of those services, taxes, and quality of life. As my budget approach has always been for the last 18 years, is to look at the level of services that we think we can provide, that we do not take a step backwards, that we provide the quality of life and bring in as many possible programs and social services. This council and the councils that I've served before have helped the food bank, they've helped the House of Lazarus. We have all of those things that need to be done. But we need to keep our services at a certain level as well. Then we find out what that's going to look like in taxes, and then we have to make the difficult decisions. I don't support huge tax increases, never have. I don't look at any particular number. I look at the services that we can provide, the quality of life that I believe that we're going to reap from what services and the way that we're adjusting our budget, and then I look at the dollars going in. And I understand exactly how many fixed income people we have. I understand the struggle of the people that we have in our economies. I understand the way agriculture is and the way small business is. And you have to look at it and make your best judgment towards keeping the quality of life that everybody in North Dundas is used to. So tax increases just for the sake of tax increases have never been my way, but also making the hard decisions where we have to increase taxes to keep our services at a level and our social life at a certain level. I've always been beside that, and you know that. Thank you.
I actually agree with Elle. No, it's hard to believe, but I actually do on a lot of levels in terms of being able to take a look at what's important and looking at the values. But one of the things that we don't do enough of as a community, and certainly as a council, is take a look at places where we can get support from other organizations, other bodies that have funding that they can bring in, and try and actively research them and bring them forward. So, for example, the programs that have been available through the Federation of Canadian Municipalities that were offering tons of money out there, in fact, $500,000 in order to do green initiatives, has never been tapped into by our council. The money that's been available out there in order to help with other programs through FedDev and through many other ones that are out there have never been researched and looked at. Yes, we have a fixed income, and I absolutely believe that raising taxes is a terrible idea. I pay taxes too, just like the rest of you, and they keep going up. I think what we need to do, though, is that we need to take a look at where it is we can stretch our dollar. Having a dollar that has a limited distance because we're not looking at multipliers is a real issue. And as a council member, one of the things that I would do is ensure that we take the opportunity to research those, to find those opportunities, and to take advantage of them. Thank you.
Last questioner, unless there's somebody, one other person that really wants to ask a question, get in line behind Jerry.
Okay, thank you very much. It's Jerry Johnson again. And I just wanted to follow up on Brenda's question. And I don't know exactly how much sway council has with this, but Cornwall Housing, for an example, just to be specific, supports our seniors' apartments here in Winchester and in Chesterville, as well as other spots. And they do it from the point of view of living in the city. And I think one of the problems, for example, is that you can't, you here in Chesterville, we wanted to move into the Nation View apartments. We can no longer do that because they have changed the rules now so that there's a means test. So if I sell my house and put the money in the bank, I've already overstepped what I'm allowed to have. So I can't go to any of those seniors' apartments.
Okay, Jerry, just slow it down.
My question is to the mayoral candidates, do we have any sway whatsoever on convincing Cornwall Housing to support the citizens of Chesterville or our area so that we don't have to leave to retire? Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. The Cornwall Housing is an initiative, is an organization that is meant to look after those that are in need, those that need support, and those that have difficulty finding housing that's affordable. What we need to do in North Dundas to answer to your question and your concern and your need is to be attractive to developers that are going to come to our community and build homes, residence, apartments, smaller units that is more appealing to us as we get older. That is the initiative that we have to seek. Cornwall Housing and the social services have a role to play, much the same as council has a role to play. We need to be aggressive, we need to entice, and we need to create an enthusiasm for developers to come and build residents that will supply our seniors with homes where they can stay in the community that they love.
Thank you, Jerry. I've never been part of the Cornwall Housing Group. My time on county council, I know our mayor is on the committee, Cornwall Housing, and he deals with issues in Winchester and Chesterville. But all we do is talk to them and tell them what our concerns are, tell them what we think and what we'd like to see. But this is something that we talk about all the time at the county or at the township level. We need more multi-residents. We need more residents and multi-res. We need apartment buildings in Winchester and Chesterville. There's people who want to downsize. They want to sell their home, their big home. They want to live in a smaller home, and they want to live in their own community. They don't want to go and move somewhere else. This is every apartment is full. You know, you put an ad in the paper and it's gone. So we need more multi-res. It's something we're working with developers all the time. We want to get, and there's going to be more in Winchester eventually. It's on the horizon. So, but we do need more. We're always in the market for more multi-res housing.
Bringing up the rear, my name is Andy Nate from Chesterville. I'm going to ask the question of two of the councillor candidates, as our front table's been carrying the freight, I think, quite a bit this evening. So this one will go on to Frank Fana and Tyler Hoy. North Dundas consists of roughly 6 urban areas, and there's one question that, an issue that hasn't been brought up this evening. I don't know if it's been brought up anywhere else. I hear a lot of complaints about it, and that is speeding through the urban areas. I live on the north side of the tracks, and I swear to God that there are certain individuals out there who like to use that little section from the railway tracks to the water tower as a speedway. I'd like to ask the candidates, what proposals would you have in working with the OPP to enforce the speed limits in the urban areas?
Well, thanks for the question. I borrowed a radar gun and I checked the speeds in South Mountain, and I don't want to tell you how fast they can go. One idea that I do have, and I guess I can let the cat out of the bag, is to ask the OPP how much would it be to rent a cruiser, just a cruiser parked in our neighborhood. Will slow traffic down. There's nobody in it. They don't know that. Their resources at the OPP are limited, so it'd be great to have an OPP officer all over the township, but we know that's not possible. The one idea that, like I said, is to have the cruiser parked there to slow traffic down. I drive for OC Transpo, and you would not believe the amount of people speeding in the glebe, or the glebalites think that speed is a big issue for them. And it's mostly the people going through their neighborhood speeding. You can see what the cost would be through the OPP and give it a try. When I was going door to door in Morewood, even putting signs up, I can't believe how fast cars are going. I guess because I drive a bus and I take my time, maybe it's a little different for that, but that would be one idea that I would like to bring forward, is to borrow a police car for the weekend and park it where we have issues of speeding. Thanks for the question.
Yes, safety within our communities is a big thing, and speeding shouldn't really be happening inside our towns where there's lots of children and elderly where problems could occur. So that's probably a better spot for enforcement, would be within the towns and not out on the main roads where less is to happen. So we can definitely ask for them to do more enforcement within the towns, which shouldn't be a problem. Have to look into other options further, as I've never thought much more about that. I will gladly look further into it, though. Thank you very much for the question.
We'll proceed now to the 1-minute closing statements from each candidate in this reverse order? Yes. Okay, the reverse order as the opening statements.
Okay. Well, thanks again, folks. It's been an honor to hear from you. I'm asking for your support to be one of the new councillors elected here in North Dundas. You have my wholehearted commitment to our community. I'm available at all times, especially in the early morning. My day starts at 3 a.m., and please feel free to give me a call at 3 a.m. or about 10 minutes after. That's when I'm buttering my toast. And yes, I do use butter, or cream cheese if it's on sale. As the health and safety representative and a shop steward, I've represented my co-workers over the years. It would be a privilege to represent members of my home community. Ladies and gentlemen, I will always remember that it's your hard-earned tax money that will be spent very wisely. I'm looking forward to meeting you as I'm going door to door, and if you have any other questions, I do have many more ideas. I'm in the one at the corner by the exit for a fast getaway. Thank you, folks. Good night.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight and for all the great questions. It's clear to me, as it has always been, that we have a municipality made up of extremely caring and involved citizens. It's also clear to me that we have citizens in this municipality that want and need change. On October 22nd, let's make that change happen together. If there are any further questions, I'm available on the side after this debate for anything else. Thank you.
I'd like to say thank you to our host this evening and thank for everybody attending tonight and listening to all of us seeking a seat on council. I'd appreciate, before you go home, if you take a minute to visit my table and take home with you some points I'd like to see addressed by our new council. Over the last 38 years, I've had the opportunity to sell or handle in repairs most of the family jewels in North Dundas. I'm looking forward to your trust again with your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. 11 years ago, I was very excited when I first ran for a position on the North Dundas Council, and I am equally as excited for this coming election. What is forefront of our excitement is having experienced the satisfaction of seeing projects that matter to North Dundas residents become a reality. Coupled with that is the desire to continue to see projects and ideas, both existing and new, become part of our future. Being a council representative in a municipal setting carries with it the responsibility of listening and working with the people of that municipality. I have always taken this responsibility seriously. I will continue to work with all the constituents, with council, and with North Dundas staff to ensure that all voices are heard. We are proud of the growth North Dundas has experienced. Our continued commitment to ensure the needs of this growth is of great importance moving ahead. I am prepared and experienced to meet those demands. I'd like to thank the North Dundas Chamber of Commerce and the Dundas Federation of Agriculture for hosting these debates, and thank you, the constituents, for showing your interest in the election of your next council. Thank you.
When I applied for university in 1969, those institutions had quotas on the number of women that could study for certain careers such as medicine, veterinary medicine, engineering, dentistry. The first year I was at Queen's, there were only 5 women out of 65 students in pre-med. The lowest average accepted from a woman was 93%. The lowest average accepted from a man was 65%. Because the Board of Trustees at that time considered it a waste of taxpayers' money to educate women in these fields. Because we would only get married, stay home, and not work. Those classrooms are now filled with women. Intelligence and capabilities are not attached to the Y chromosome. And my question is, why am I today the only woman up here among 10 candidates? There are no quotas for politics, women, so get your ass in gear.
Thank you very much for attending this debate, or question period, more like it than a debate. I'm not going to take this time to talk about anything except for those things that I think are important to everybody that's sitting here. And those things are that we have had a council here that has done a good job. However, I think we're at a time where new ideas, an approach that may be slightly different than has happened in the past, time has come. I think really that when we take a look at the growth of any community, that it really takes a diverse voice in order to ensure that growth truly happens. We saw that when Eric became the mayor 8 years ago. He came in with a brand new voice and made a really good difference. And now that he's stepped down, I think it's time that other new voices come into play, and I would like to be one of them. I've spent a lot of time over the last 30 years working in multiple industries, and I hope to bring that to bear. Please come talk to me anytime, and I can answer your questions for you. Thank you very much for your attention today.
Well, thank you very much. Just three small things before I get started. The Chesterville Arena, the beautiful Chesterville Pool, and the second to none Chesterville Waterfront, all just over $2 million combined through grants that this council researched and utilized. Once again, I'd like to thank you for the support and opportunity that you provided me over the last 18 years to serve this great township. Over this time, I've gained the experience required to take the next step and represent us at the county level. There will be a changeover at our municipal council, and I welcome that. Couple that with the fact that the 7 of 12 new members at the county council are retiring, and I believe that having an experienced voice for North Dundas in the deputy mayor's role is essential. I've been preparing for this position for 18 years. I'm trained, I'm eager, and I'm ready. So on October 17th to the 22nd, please vote for me. Thank you.
Well, I hope everyone had a good chance to get to know the candidates better and get some questions answered. If not, there's one more date to go. I asked you to seriously consider me for the office of mayor on October 17th till 22nd. Lauren and I are now retired. I have the time and energy to be North Dundas' first full-time mayor. We had the time to go to most events before when I was working full-time, and now we'll have more time to go to practically everything within reason. We still have some unfinished business from the last 2 terms of council. The 10-year road plan was not finished. We have more roads to improve with, tar and chip, and surface treatment. Roadside mowing and brush cutting along ditches also require improvements. We can do better. Thanks for coming out tonight. If elected, I will follow up weekly with Parmalat for progress reports. I'll be on their doorstep every week for a progress report. So stop by my table or call me with any questions or concerns. My table is right over here, and I promise to give you honesty and integrity, and I'll answer your every call, like I have for the last 8 years. Thank you very much.
Remember, elections are about choices. This election is about deciding whether to go forward or to make a U-turn. You can choose to make a U-turn, to go back to when deals were made the old school way, a wink, a nod, the proverbial handshake. Or you can decide to continue moving forward with energy, with someone accepting of new ideas and new technology, who can follow standard protocol, understands due process, is able to work with all members of our community, and has proven leadership abilities. In closing, the goal that must be achieved is the goal of being a supportive, serving council, open to discussion, open to new ideas, and open to the philosophy of how can we help. Our volunteers, our business people, our developers, and our citizens have goals, dreams, and ideas that need to be heard, discussed, and evaluated. This is the type of council I believe North Dundas deserves, and this is the type of council I will lead as your mayor. I'm asking for your vote this October. Thank you.
So thank you everybody for coming out on behalf of the Dundas Federation of Agriculture and the North Dundas Chamber of Commerce, of which I'm Vice President. Our 2 organizations have a tradition of teaming up with these debates, federal, provincial, municipal, and we do it solely as a public good, and we have 1 more left in this campaign. It's October 1st in Winchester at the Joel Steele Center. Let's have a big round of applause for our candidates who are doing something very important here. You know, we all have the right to vote, but the flip side of that is we have the right to run as well, but very few of us avail ourselves of that responsibility, so thank you. So please stick around and talk with the candidates, and we'll see you in Winchester.